we'll get started right now. And I want to welcome, we're in our second hour of our LinkedIn Live-a-thon for job seekers. And to let folks know, this event has been designed for anybody who's really looking for a job, making a career move in 2021. But specifically, I kind of marketed this as an event, Bobby, for people that are working but looking. So if you're working, you may not want people to know that you're watching this event today. So don't like it. Don't leave a comment. You can message me privately on LinkedIn if you have a question for Bobby or for any of the other speakers. But when you're watching, people can't see it. So don't worry about that. But it's just when you start to interact with the thread. So Bobby is going to be here talking to us today about networking and personal branding. And for those folks who maybe aren't aware of who you are yet, Bobby, or they've heard me mention your name and they don't know who you are, could you give us an overview? Take a couple minutes, tell us about you and your business.
Sure. So I think for the last for the last 15 years, I've been a professional speaker, and I've traveled around the world doing keynotes over 4 continents, 1,000 keynotes around the world. It's been great. Initially when I first started, I started talking about authentic networking. It was the big thing that I was known for, and then I wrote a book on how to network anytime, anywhere with anyone.
Oh, very
cool. I wrote that book, and then after that, then I started becoming known for personal branding. I started talking about personal branding as it applied to networking. And so they're like, oh, that's really interesting. And so I started talking about personal branding. And then after that, my social media kind of took off. And, once I hit a couple 100,000 followers, people were saying, how do you do that? And so I started talking about digital marketing, digital influence, social media influence, things like that. And so all 3 of those things fit under the brand of what I call power of connection. Personal branding, connection with the self, authentic networking, connection with others, and then digital influence, connection with the world. And so and started talking about that thought leadership and stuff. So COVID hit, and then the speaker industry was devastated. I had to pivot, and it took me about 6 to 8 months to really find things. I experimented with lots of different things. The things that really stuck were storytelling. People love storytelling. They want to learn how to be better at that, whether it's for their content or for their meetings. So I started doing workshops there. And then I took my entire personal branding stuff and I digitized it into an online platform. And now I'm doing stuff around thought leadership branding. So kind of the overall experience of, network, relationship building, meaningful connections, innovation, content, and then also with public speaking, writing, storytelling, and things like that. And then, of course, Clubhouse showed up.
Yes.
And after 3 days, I was like, you know what? I'm in. This is a fantastic tool to build thought leadership because it does enhance content, it does enhance relationship building, and it does improve your communication. So I was all in. And so I started doing these LinkedIn masteries every day. And then after that, I got a club called the Thought Leadership Branding Club, and I've grown that to almost 8,000 members at this point. So
how many is it now?
There's almost 8,000 members, and there's about 30 plus sessions being done weekly or bi-weekly by people. And it's been great. So thankful to people who've been part of that, and also thankful to you being part of that because you're awesome too.
Oh, thank you. And I, for me, it was like, I was kind of resistant to getting on Clubhouse. Kenneth Lang was actually the person who suggested it originally. And I'm like, no, I don't have time for one more thing right now.
I know,
but then I heard there was one day, and I think you were in the session where people from LinkedIn were leading a Clubhouse chat, asking for questions about LinkedIn. And I'm like, wait, why would they be on Clubhouse doing that? Why wouldn't they be on LinkedIn? So I had to come and check it out. But then quickly thereafter, we connected. You told me about your club, and I'm like, well, why would I start my own? Bobby's got all the cool kids in a big party happening, at his house, and it's just such a great community. So, and I think about you, Bobby, when I think about who you are and what you represent. I mean, the words that come to mind are thought leadership and personal branding, and you're going to be here giving us some tips today on networking and personal branding. So I'm going to turn the floor over to you now to start off the discussion, and we've got people that are watching that are unemployed, actively in career transition. And then there's the other group, and there's this whole category of people that are working, but looking, and they're not even sure where to start because there's so many concerns they have about networking and setting off red flags, and then their personal brand. How do I build that, but not jeopardize my day job?
And do me a favor, give me some direction in terms of how long you want me to just talk about.
Yeah, so we'll be on until 11:30 a.m. Eastern today. At about 11:20, we'll move into Q&A. So plan on about 15 minutes to give your thoughts, and then I'll give you some cues and guide you. Does that work out okay?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay,
so,
perfect.
Awesome. So I think the first thing I'll talk about is personal branding. Well, actually, networking is important. So, I mean, networking, obviously, cultivating relationships, building meaningful connections with people. And that includes, what the content you create, when you reach out to people, when you, when you send messages to people. And now in the virtual world, how do we break through the clutter of networking in a more impactful and powerful basis? It's harder now because you have to find a way to break through all that virtual clutter and the noise that people are dealing with. But everyone knows that people matter. Everyone knows that relationships are at the heart of every single aspect of success, right? So if you want to succeed in your career, networking is important. If you want to succeed in getting a job, network is important. If you want to succeed in getting a promotion, network is important. And so I think the first thing I think about when it comes to networking is, what is your objective, right? So what's your objective for networking? What is it you want to do? It could be very specific. I want to meet 10, 20 people in X industry. I want to get a job. I want to get a promotion. I want to, have 10 interviews lined up based on my networking piece. And again, one of the things with networking you have to understand is that, when it comes to job searching, it's the 80-20 rule. 80% of jobs are found through networking. 20% are, through posts. And only 20% of people network effectively, while 80% do not. So if 80% of the jobs are found by those who are only doing 20% of the networking activity, what should you be doing? You should be networking. And it's just an aspect of just kind of building up relationships and following up people and things like that. So let me share a couple of tips, which is, first off, there are different ways to access people. So with Clubhouse and with Instagram and Twitter and LinkedIn, there are numerous ways to interact with people that you want. Now, assuming you've set your target and your goals and objectives, or your goal is to do this, or your objective is to do this. Once you have those objectives and goals, now you can start finding out where people are. So they're often on online presentations or online, conferences, things like that. They're also on social media everywhere. So if you either target companies or you target people, and so now you can go after these people in terms of trying to reach out to them. And one of the easiest ways to connect with people is to go on LinkedIn, find out where they are, see if they're posting content, and then start commenting on their stuff and talking about how awesome they are and sharing your own expertise. Hey, I love what you're talking about. Let's say you're looking for a job in pharmaceuticals, and you find a certain pharmaceutical person, and you just start talking. Hey, I love this stuff because I read a recent research report on pharmaceutical that said this, boom, boom, boom. And what you're doing is you're making them look good. You're engaging them, which they love. And then you're also sharing your own expertise. And trust me, if you do that 5 to 10 times, as whoever I am, CEO, influencer, thought leader, whatever I might be, I'll remember you. Trust me, 5 to 10 times, I will definitely remember who you are. So when you reach out to me with a message about something, I'm far more amenable to making something happen versus the cold email or the cold LinkedIn in-mail. So I think that's something to keep in mind. Like, commenting is a fantastic way to ingratiate yourself with the people you're trying to network with. So that, and the other thing is you can go to LinkedIn, you can go to Instagram and Twitter and other places and reach out there and comment on their stuff and reply to their tweets or reply to their posts and say, hey, this is awesome. It's kind of what I did actually to get noticed by the Daniel Roth, the editor-in-chief of LinkedIn, because I went to his Instagram and Twitter and said, hey, and I started chatting with him. And then when I sent the email, or actually then when I tagged my post, he's like, okay, Bobby, just send me an email. I said, sure, great. And, that, because at that point he knew who I was. So I think that's an important piece to just, comment on people as well. The second piece that's important for LinkedIn, for networking, is the follow-up. So let's say you connect someone on LinkedIn or you get their card. Are you going to follow up or not? People, it's amazing how people don't follow up. I talked about being responsive on the LinkedIn comments, but not following up makes networking useless. What's the point of getting their business card or getting connected with them or adding them LinkedIn if you don't follow up, particularly with the contacts you want to get in touch with, right? So a lot of people don't do that. They don't actually follow up. In fact, I'll tell you a little story, which is one time I was on stage speaking, doing a keynote for 500 hungry young entrepreneurs, 18 to 26. So they're young, they're hungry. And I said, look, I'm here all day at this conference. This is early in the day when I was just starting to start my role as a speaker. And I said, I'll be here the whole day. Every one of you come get my business card and follow up with me, and I'll give you a free 50-minute coaching call. And out of 500 people in the audience, how many people followed up with me and got my card? Well, only 75 got my card the whole day. Out of 75 people, how many people actually followed up with me with a message, a text, an email? 17. Of the 17 people, how many people built a relationship with me? 2. So the question from a networking and follow-up perspective is, you can be the top 15% that gets my card. You can be the top 4% that follows up, or you can be the top 0.4% that builds a relationship with me. So who do you want to be? Because the more you follow up, the more you're going to create opportunities for yourself. And I see it all the time. Like, I see young people who follow up with you all the time and other ones who don't. And, you could say, well, what if I'm being annoying? Well, my rule for this is be polite, be professional, be persistent. That's it. As long as you're polite and professional, who am I to get angry with a very polite, professional note that offers a lot of gratitude? I think that's really nice. It's really lovely. So by all means, follow up, until you get a response where they say, oh, I'm sorry, I'm going to have to pass, or, I don't know anybody or whatever, and that's fine too. So I think that's an important piece when it comes to network. Now, and we already talked about the tips around online, following up, I think is really, really important. And then the other thing is really about personal branding. And so why is personal branding important when it comes to networking? Well, if you understand how networking works, as soon as you reach out to somebody, they're going to check you out. So what does the brand of your profile say? What does your LinkedIn profile say? How aligned is it to your brand? How optimized is it to your thought leadership brand? Does it look good or does it look vacant? These are things you have to ask yourself, right? Similarly, they'll look at you on Instagram and Twitter and other places, and they're going to say, okay, how does this person look? Because if it looks bad, you're going to lose interest. I get emails all the time from people who are looking to work with me and get jobs. And what happens is that, I look at their profile because everyone Googles everybody. And I'm like, oh, you know what? Like either it's great or it's not enough or it's absent. And so you want it to be great, because the way it works when it comes to doing well, particularly on LinkedIn or other platforms, is there's three things, right? How you reach out to people in DMs, emails, messages, whatever, is one thing. How you actually comment on people's posts and create content that demonstrates your expertise and creates conversations is one thing. And the third thing is what your profile is. If you have a great profile, you're great at commenting and creating content, and you're great at reaching out to people and building relationships, that's a triple threat. And that's when the magic happens for everything you're trying to do, whether you're trying to get a job, get a promotion, and all that kind of stuff. And going back to personal branding, the thing with personal branding is that personal branding gives you a few things that are important. Number one, it gives you focus on who to go after, how to talk to people, what to say, what kind of content to create. It gives you incredible focus on everything you're trying to do. Number two, it gives you alignment. It aligns your career path to where you want to go in terms of your alignment with your values, your personality traits, your skills, your superpowers. And it gives you impact. If you have greater focus and greater alignment, you'll get greater impact with trying to get that job. And so personal branding affects your profile because it's more focused. It affects your networking because you're more clear on your goals and what you're trying to do. And it affects your content because it's more focused on your target audience. And so that's why personal branding is so important. And what the biggest tip I can give you with personal branding is do the work. It's like doing a resume. A resume takes 10, 12 hours or longer. Personal branding takes 20 hours to really figure it out, to dive deep. Most people, what they do, personal branding is broken into three areas. You discover your brand, you design your brand, and then you deliver your brand. So discovery is where you do the deep dive self-analysis, self-awareness. You get feedback from your network. You go through this whole process, and that's building the foundation. That takes about 20 hours of time. Then the design piece is where you look at your assets, you strategize, you put together tactics and plan for your target audience in terms of what you want to do and put yourself out there. And then number three is once you put yourself out there, now you deliver and you monitor the results. You evolve, you get feedback, and you refine your brand in terms of where it's going, where it's evolving. 90% of people are always stuck in the design phase. They're always planning, strategizing, tactics, figuring out what I'm going to do next. And what they don't do, and when they do that, they go out there with their career plan or their job growth plan or their, promotion plan. And after 3 months, 6 months, or even 2 years into a career, they're like, you know what, I'm not feeling this. Because when they did it that way, they're about 50, 60, 65% aligned with who they are, because they maybe got a couple of mentors to help, and maybe they worked with one coach, but they didn't do the deep dive work. If you do the deep dive work, that's what you got to do. Most people don't want to do that. Do the deep dive work, and it's not that hard, right? It's not that hard. There's lots of, my course explains it. There's tons of, I even have articles that talk about how to do it, right? So there's articles out there on how to do it, but you do a deep dive. And when you do that and you identify, your values, your skills, your traits, things you care about, what you're good at, your superpowers, you identify your target audience, you identify your why, your purpose statement, mission, vision, your target audience and who they are and what their bliss points are, what their pain points are. Then when you design your personal brand strategy for whether it's content, whether it's a job search, whether it's career promotion, or whether it's all three of those things, then you're going to have 85, 90, 95% alignment. And that's when the magic happens for your career. So I think that's the main things I want to share about the personal branding and networking. And, I'm open to other questions or follow-ups from you, Brenda, as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I wanted to give you the floor. I feel like you have so many great insights to share. And I
could talk forever about this stuff.
You could. And I'm like, you're the kind of person I could just be like, I could probably like find you the day before and be like, I have an opening for a major event. Can you speak at my event? And you're like, yeah, which topic you want me to speak about? And you could pick so many topics and you have so many great insights. But I know there's like great value in a little bit of this dialogue. And there's folks that are already starting to ask questions. So I'll start to kind of pivot to those questions now. And one person was wondering, and I'm going to take the image down in your name field at the bottom. It says Bobby Umar, CEO, dypb.ca. Yeah. And somebody has already asked, what does the DYPB stand for? Is it do your personal best, or what does it stand for?
Go check out the link.
Go check it out.
Well, basically, dypb.ca is the website to my startup called Discover Your Personal Brand.
Oh, love it.
And so, Discover Your Personal Brand has done a lot of research, and we have a model that talks about the discover, design, and deliver aspect of personal branding. Okay. And so, we have a course on discovering your brand, but we also help organizations and individuals with the design and delivery of their brands too.
That's very cool. And the topic that we introduced for today, guys, for Bobby was networking and personal branding. And there may be some of you watching who are either in career transition right now, looking for a new job, and you've heard that you need to develop this online brand or personal brand. You're like, you don't know where to start. Or maybe you're working but looking, and you've neglected yourself because you've been working for a long period of time, and you may not think I don't have a personal brand. You do. And Bobby, I love the steps that you were addressing, and I'm going to pull them back up on screen, kind of discovering it, designing it, delivering it. There's people out here like Bobby who can help to guide you through. So I know that you're on LinkedIn, and I'm going to drop your URL up on screen for people right now. Clubhouse. I feel like I see you equally on Clubhouse and LinkedIn, and I just dropped your Clubhouse up on screen as well.
Thank you.
You're continually evolving your personal brand, right? You haven't stopped, right?
Yeah. Back in the day, where I found most of my thought leadership branding expertise was actually on Twitter. And
really?
Twitter took off first.
Yeah.
And, once I had 100,000 followers on there, I was like, oh, this is really great. And it was helping my speaking career and whatnot. LinkedIn, I've been investing in for the last 3 years. So, when Microsoft bought it, that's been, but when Clubhouse came, I saw the opportunity there. One of the best parts about Clubhouse, like LinkedIn is great for networking and building connections, but Clubhouse is great for deepening connections and having really authentic conversations with people, which then leads to, it leads to a better, it's more likely leads to a follow-up conversation about business and lead generation, which is great. So I really do love Clubhouse for that. And I think that's why, and my whole timing on things has shifted, like the time I spend, and I've actually analyzed where have I spent time less and more. I think what's happened is LinkedIn is pretty much, it's about the same, or maybe just like a little bit less. Yeah. But the ones that have been impacted for sure are Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. I think those three of them, they've all lessened. They're not gone down to zero, but they've definitely lessened by about, I'd say, 20% each. Mm-hmm. And then that 60% that I've taken on is now more doing stuff in Clubhouse.
Because you don't get more than 24 hours in a day, do you, Bobby? I think
exactly.
You do, but you don't.
Well, and one of the things I can tell you is that when I first started LinkedIn Mastery, I was there every day doing it for 2 hours with all the other people, and then I was like, look, we need to find a way to make this better. So we set up a system where we have lead mods for 1 hour slots, and so now I'm committed to 4 hours per week, either as a lead mod or a supporting moderator. And so I obviously still show up, but what I'm finding now in the last couple of weeks, I'm probably trending about 6 hours a week versus the 20 that I was doing before. So that's great. Okay. Yeah.
But it's probably also, some of it is active time, and I think other time you're spending on these. It's kind of like you have it up. It's like you're listening to a podcast, you're doing work in the background, and then somebody says, "Hey, Bobby, I have a question," and you unmute and you pull yourself back up, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So, when I'm lead modding, I definitely am completely engaged, and I'm sitting right here doing it. But when I'm supporting mod or just on stage, then I'm doing dishes or doing other things.
Yeah, cooking dinner, whatever,
Yeah, exactly.
We have a question from below. He's joining the tips. He's asking how to differentiate your personal brand from your professional brand, especially if you are working. Any thoughts there, Bobby?
Yeah, so ideally your personal brand is, they're the same. Right. So your personal brand is your entire life story of who you are, what you care about. So if you look at my my profile page on LinkedIn, on there I talk about everything. I talk about business. I talk about coaching. I talk about my weight loss journey. I talk about entrepreneurship. I talk about my startup. I talk about the things that I care about. I talk about Clubhouse. It's all there. And it's the entire story of who I am and what I'm all about. Then I have my company page, which is all about the business stuff and so about my coaching and my online programs. And that's really what it's about. So I kind of separate those two. But ideally, your personal brand is everything. So think of it in terms of, this is who I am. This is what I believe in. These are my superpower gifts. And this is who I am for the world. And I'm trying to find my purpose for the world. Your professional brand, so that's the umbrella. And underneath that, your professional brand will be represented in certain ways, like your LinkedIn profile. It's going to be from your content, from how you network with people. And so ideally, you want to have them the same thing, because otherwise what happens is, and this would happen to me in corporate, right? I worked at corporate and I spent all of my time being someone that I wasn't. And that's exhausting.
Yeah.
Right. This professional brand of trying to be this type of person that's not really who I am. It's exhausting. And
I love that point. But I think, did you even realize it at the time, or did you not realize it until you were on your own?
That's a great question. Actually, on my last corporate job, we did this analysis where it was like one of those true colors analysis, but it was a different type. And what they did was they showed how you were in your normal time and how you were at work. And one of the things I found out was I was like 95% super sunny disposition, happy guy. And at work, I was still the same way. But there was the red line, which was my aggressive, assertive behavior, right? And my normal was like, 40, 50%. But at work, it jumped up to 80% because I had to be more aggressive and more assertive than I really wanted to be. And I was like, oh, that's really interesting. And I was like, wow. And then my harmony one was way down because I had trouble keeping things harmonious at work, because you had to be driven, you got to get things done and deadlines, whatever. So that was really interesting. And then after I left corporate, I did a research, another one of those in personality assessments called the 360 leadership thing. And it showed, I gave my own perception, and then people rated me on those things. And I saw different gaps. I was like, wow. Yeah. So I definitely was being different at work. And then I looked at where there were certain work jobs that I had in my life where I felt completely Bobby. And a perfect example was I was doing a summer program for youth and teaching and interacting. And I loved that. Whereas the job in engineering just didn't fit me at all. The job in brand marketing didn't fit me at all. So, but doing the personal brand journey helped me really solidify. Yeah, you know what? This is the real me.
Okay, very cool. And it's interesting how, I mean, you kind of operate within that corporate environment, and you kind of have to play by the rules. And you want to be true to yourself and to your values. But sometimes when you find yourself no longer at that corporate job, you are given the opportunity to really decide what you want to do. And I mean, I remember even for me, that exodus from corporate. I mean, I picked pink as my brand color. I could have never had pink as a brand color in corporate, and there's things in your personality that you can really start to evolve, and you become your own person, independent of that corporate hierarchy.
Well, the best part that happens is there's a certain confidence. So I remember after I launched my speaking career and I went back to my old boss at Kraft. They had a party. I was working at Kraft, and I went there, and my vice president, so he was 3 levels above me. He's like, wow, Bobby, you're so confident. And what happened? It's like, honestly, like, now that I'm president of my own company, and I'm super confident about what I'm doing and where I'm going. And I know what I'm talking about. And I know more about my topic than you do, than you do about my topic. Because back in the day, I was so scared to say something to him about the product. And now I was like, I'm my own person now. And it was just a huge difference. So that confidence piece goes up tremendously. Yeah,
very true, very true. And we've had a couple other comments kind of coming in. Do you know Dan Roth? Do you know the Dan Roth story? The Not That Dan Roth? Have you heard of this?
No.
So Dan Roth is, and I think we first started interacting on Clubhouse.
He's there all the time.
And then he popped into my LinkedIn one day, Bobby, and I got it. And it was after, remember the session we were in, and Daniel Roth from LinkedIn was in the session, and you brought him up on stage, and we got some great insights from him. And it was like the couple days after that, this Dan Roth reached out and invited me to connect, and my heart started racing. I'm like, oh my gosh, Dan Roth from LinkedIn. And then he connected, and I was like, he looks different. And then we had a side conversation, and I said, you should own the fact that you have the same name. And he started creating a hashtag calling it Not That Dan Roth. So I don't know. it's an interesting, nice guy in career transition. And there's some folks asking some questions about Clubhouse as well. So David is saying, can you tell us a little bit about Clubhouse? Because there are a couple questions. Here's one, can job seekers use Clubhouse? So thoughts there?
Yeah. So, Clubhouse is a great place for you to demonstrate your expertise in an area. And it's a great place for you to network with people and have follow-up conversations. Okay. So if you are a job seeker and whatever your expertise is, start a room or join a room where you get to speak about the expertise and share your passion with people. That's one. Yeah. There are specific network rooms on there. When people hear your voice and they see how, and they see the authenticity behind your voice, and there's a deeper relationship with that. And then the influencers you want to connect with, what was really amazing is that once you've spoken with them on stage at an event, or you give them some gratitude and things like that, following up with them on Instagram in particular is far more easier. They're more like, I've been able to reach out to people with 2 million followers on Instagram, and they respond back with a message. I'm like, wow, this is amazing, because that doesn't happen on LinkedIn. Like, it's really hard to get people like that. So I think there's a huge opportunity. Like I said, Clubhouse is an opportunity for you to do the same things you do on LinkedIn. The difference is it's an opportunity to deepen relationships right away, because you can get into a really intimate conversation with a small group of people or a large group of people. And that's really awesome. Yeah.
Very cool. And I'm going to I see Beth Granger's in our waiting room, so I'm just going to bring her up real quick just to do a quick audio video check, make sure that she can hear us. And I like to announce it before I do that, because I don't want people to be surprised there. Hey, sometimes Beth. The ladies were fixing our hair. The guys are even putting their headphones on. Hey, Beth, how are you doing today?
Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Hey, Bobby. Good to see you. Doing well.
Good. And it's interesting because a lot of us, we're all part of my, I have this Meller Marketing LinkedIn Rockstars list and from different places in the world. Bobby, are you in, is it Toronto? Am I remembering correctly?
Toronto, Canada, yeah.
And Beth, you're in Long Island, New York, right?
That's right.
You're good. Well, we're going to finish up with Bobby. I'm going to put you back in the waiting room just for a minute, or the green room, if you will. It sounds a little bit more like a celebrity, like I'm a talk show host when I say green room. But as we start to kind of wrap up conversation here, right? Yeah. Right?
Yeah, you are.
I want to pull up your LinkedIn URL for folks again, Bobby. And are you open to accepting new invitations or followers on LinkedIn? What's your preference there?
Well, I'm pretty maxed out, so I would probably say followers, but also my company page too. So those are two different places. But yeah, I accept followers, no problem.
Okay. So guys, if you're watching today, go to Bobby's profile. I'm already following you, so you're not going to see it on screen right now, but click on the follow button, and that way you'll get his updates. Really great insights and information there. And I just want to give another plug for your Clubhouse. I hope you don't mind, Bobby. I'm sure you won't.
Please.
And where can people find, if they're on Clubhouse? I know they can look you up, and then give us the instructions how we can follow you and get notifications about your club's events.
Yeah, so a couple things. So first off, on LinkedIn, I post twice a day, once in the morning, once at night. So check out those posts. I appreciate that. Number 2, on Clubhouse, I'm at Rayhan Bobby, but you look up my full name, Bobby Umar, to find it. I'm also, and if you go to my profile, right by my name, there's a bell. If you click that bell, you'll get notified every time I'm going to be speaking on stage or opening up a room. And also the other way to do it is search the Thought Leadership Branding Club. Follow that club, and anytime there's my sessions or other people's sessions, like I know Heather Golden's doing a session today, and I know that a bunch of people are doing sessions today, you'll get notified of some of those really awesome clubs and sessions that are going on around. And they all have to do with thought leadership branding. So either they're going to be talking about communication skills, public speaking, and they're going to talk about content, relationship building. They're going to talk about all those different things. So I would say check all those things out.
Okay. I tried to pull up your Clubhouse, and the screen share is not allowing me to do so. I know it's like an app-based only right now.
Only, yeah, it's only on your phones.
But it's on the screen. So if you guys are on Clubhouse, you can check out Bobby. So thank you again, Bobby. Any final comments for the group? Anything you'd like to tell us about? Whoops, took you out of stream there for just a second. Wrong screen. Let's try this again. Any final comments for folks or anything? Where can we find you? Any final thoughts for us for today?
Yeah, so like I said before, I think you need to invest in your personal brand, and so take the time to do that work. I think it's really important to do that. And number 2, when it comes to networking, again, you can do it. Like, it's just a question of building that confidence and things like that. And so, if you need more help, reach out to me. I run a thought leadership branding program. I have a personal branding program, and now I'm doing a Clubhouse, how to grow your club on Clubhouse program. Awesome. All these things are happening, and so if you need the help, just to reach out to me anytime, and we can chat.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Bobby. I'll let you get back to your family there. Have a wonderful day.